All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to tackle the huge and, let's face it, really complex legacy of the one and only King of Pop, Michael Jackson. You know, the New York Times once said, "In the world of pop music, there is Michael Jackson and there is everybody else." And that's a really powerful statement, right? It captures his almost mythical status. But as we're about to see, his story is about so much more than just his unparalleled fame. So, how did this happen? How did one guy become this massive global phenomenon? And, maybe more importantly, why is his legacy still so complicated? To figure that out, we have to go back to the moments that created the King of Pop, starting with his deliberate break from the past. So let's start at the beginning of his solo kingdom. Now, of course, his journey to superstardom started way before he was a solo act. He was that incredible child prodigy fronting the Jackson 5. Yeah, after all of that incredible success with his family, Michael was just driven. He had this powerful desire for creative control. He was absolutely determined to prove he wasn't just the talented kid from the band, but a mature artist with his own unique vision. And that ambition, it would lead to a career-defining moment. And that moment, it was the 1979 album Off the Wall. Look, this was not just another record. This was a statement. By teaming up with the legendary producer Quincy Jones, Michael created this sophisticated blend of disco, pop, and R&B that was all his. It was basically his declaration of artistic independence. And wow, was it a commercial juggernaut? I mean, get this. Off the Wall made him the first solo artist ever to land 4 singles from the same album in the top 10 of the Billboard Hot 100. That just didn't happen back then. And the sales numbers, they were just staggering. We're talking over 20 million copies sold worldwide. That puts it right up there with the best-selling albums of all time. This wasn't just a hit record. This was Michael Jackson announcing to the world that he was a solo superstar, period. Okay, so if Off the Wall was this huge breakthrough, Thriller was like a nuclear explosion. Let's get into the Thriller phenomenon. So Thriller drops in 1982, and it's not just an album, it's a full-blown cultural event. It didn't just break records, it shattered them. 70 million copies. That's a number that's hard to even wrap your head around. It is still the best-selling album of all time, and honestly, that record might never be broken. And the way it dominated the charts was just absolute. It sat at #1 for a mind-boggling 37 weeks. Let that sink in. That's more than 8 months at the top. It wasn't just a hit, it was basically the soundtrack for an entire year. But the thing about Thriller is, its impact went way beyond just the music. That 14-minute Thriller short film, it completely changed the game for music videos. Before Michael, they were kind of just promotional clips. He turned them into these high-budget, cinematic stories with incredible choreography and special effects. He was creating entire worlds. And this visual power had a huge cultural effect. You have to remember, back then, the brand new channel MTV was getting a lot of heat for not playing Black artists. But the popularity of Billie Jean and Beat It was so massive, so undeniable, that it basically forced MTV's hand. They had to break their own color barrier, and that opened the door for a whole generation of Black musicians. But, as his fame shot into the stratosphere, his personal life came under this incredibly intense, non-stop microscope. And this next phase of his story, it's really about his art thriving in the middle of a storm. Yeah, this period of his life is defined by this really jarring contrast. On one hand, his career was tangled up in these escalating legal battles, from the first allegations in '93 all the way to his trial and acquittal in 2005. But at the same time, he never stopped creating. He just channeled all that chaos and turmoil right back into his art. And you can literally hear this conflict playing out in his music. While the tabloids were scrutinizing his every single move, his songs got more aggressive, more paranoid. I mean, tracks like Scream or Tabloid Junkie, they weren't subtle. They were direct counterattacks on the media frenzy that was all around him. He was using his art as both a shield and a weapon. And you know what? Through all of it, his die-hard fan base never left his side. His last studio album, Invincible, was seen by a lot of them as proof of his resilience. Like this one fan publication put it, they saw him as someone who'd been through hell and back, but just refused to be broken. All right, this brings us to his final years, his absolutely shocking death, and the powerful echo his legacy continues to leave behind. So by 2009, he was setting up what everyone thought would be the greatest comeback in music history. He announced, "This is it," a run of 50 sold-out shows in London. The whole world was ready. But then, tragically, on June 25th, 2009, just weeks before the first show, he was gone. He died from an overdose of prescription drugs. His death just unleashed this global wave of grief. I mean, the internet literally slowed down because so many people were searching his name. And his memorial service, an estimated 2.5 billion people watched it. That number is it's staggering. It really speaks to his unique global reach. His death also caused this massive resurgence in his music. In the year after he died, he sold 35 million albums. That completely dwarfed the sales of the top-selling new album that year. He even became the first artist ever to sell over 1 million song downloads in a single week. It just proved his music was as powerful as ever. And his influence, it's just undeniable. It lives on in so many performers who came after him. You can see it in the showmanship of Beyoncé and Bruno Mars. You can hear it in the vocals of Justin Timberlake and Usher. His artistic DNA is just woven into the very fabric of modern pop music. This quote from a fan publication really sums up what he means to so many people. We should feel grateful that we saw Michael Jackson become the king of pop. He entertained and educated us on how to reach our full potential. You know, for millions, that's the heart of his legacy. He was an artist who showed the world what was possible. So, artist, innovator, icon, enigma. How will history ultimately remember the king of pop? And that's really the challenge of his legacy, isn't it? Trying to reconcile the monumental, undeniable artistry with the profound and deeply troubling controversies. It's the central and maybe the unanswerable question of Michael Jackson's incredible story.